business with corporations. My name is Jamie Neely. I am the Associate Director of the Established Business Programs here at the Women's Business Development Center, hosting today's workshop. I will ask for you to use the question panel on the right side as your tool to get questions over, and I'll be sure to answer those as they come in, or definitely at the end of the workshop, of the webinar. Today, we'll go over WBENC certification, the benefits of the certification, developing and implementing a corporate contracting strategy, how to utilize the WBENC Link, understanding supplier diversity, crafting your value proposition, and understanding government certifications. And then we'll take a look at some upcoming events. So you're certified. Now what? The WBENC certification profile in the community consists of over 1,600 certified WBEs with revenues over $12 billion and employees over 75,000. So this gives you a look at the network that you are part of by being certified through WBENC, WBENC being Women's Business Enterprise National Council. And here's a list of the top 5 industries that are represented within WBENC: consulting services, construction, manufacturing, and professional services, advertising and marketing. Some of the benefits: if you are currently doing business with corporations, it may increase the value to those existing customers or clients. You become a part of this entire national network, which you gain access to those corporate and government partners. You become visible to over 700 corporate partners through the WBENC. The networks and the referrals are endless. The mentoring, education, and capacity through your regional partner organization, WBDC Chicago. You also then have that you can take full advantage of utilizing and marketing the WBENC logo, the WBE logo, for your marketing materials so that people are aware that you are a women business enterprise, or the woman-owned logo on the retail packaging. 80% of corporations encourage diverse suppliers, which is great and it's growing. 40% of those corporations require at least one WBE to bid, which is amazing, which means that at least our WBEs are getting in front of the corporations and are at least being able to get looked at and being taken for consideration to do business with. And over half of our WBEs have said that the certification has increased their contract opportunities. We always encourage that the certification does not promise you contracts or guarantee you contracts. However, it does leverage your opportunities and definitely narrows your pool of competition. So when you think about you're certified, now what? I like to consider the next step being a contracting strategy. And in that, you would develop a list of top 5, top 10 corporations or agencies you like to do business with. And then you do a little bit of research, and you'll find out if they're buying what you're selling. You definitely want to make sure that your time, money, and energy is spent in the most appropriate areas where your ROI is higher. You want to learn their procurement process. Each corporation operates differently. Some have registration portals for you to enter in your information. Some use LinkedIn. Some use direct email. So we definitely want to learn their procurement process and use that, because if we're not where they're looking, then it lessens our opportunities to get in front of them. We want to cater your value proposition to that particular transaction or corporation. So for instance, if a corporation is looking for one, let's say you're a multi-line service or product, and the corporation is looking for one aspect of your company, then you want to cater your value proposition to that particular transaction or corporation. And then we want to develop an action plan. How do we cultivate a relationship with the supplier diversity folks at these corporations? And then, of course, we want to follow up. So once we identify who we need to speak with, we get in front of them, then we have to create a follow-up strategy. We always want to be productively persistent and stay in front of them. So how do you find out who these corporate partners are? You have access to the WBENC link, which is actually down until Monday, as they're revamping or transitioning their system to become all electronic. But on Monday or after Monday, you will log into your WBENC link, and you would search. On the left-hand side, you'll see corporations. You can type by keywords if you're not particularly certain of a corporation. You can type by the name. However, this gives you access not only locally in the Chicago area, but nationally in all of those corporations that support WBENC, in addition to WBDC alone. This is advantageous because this is also the same platform that the corporation goes to look for you, or one of the avenues. So you want to make sure that your information in WBENC link is updated and current, because if a corporation goes out and they're looking for a marketing firm, you want to make sure that your revenue, your contact information, everything that best represents your company is current, again, because this is what they're taking into consideration. Other avenues that they may use is to directly at WBDC, but we too go to WBENC to sift through and pull out our WBENC, our WBE information. So you want to make sure that your information is up to date in WBENC, and also use this as your search engine for some corporations. Most have contact information for the Supplier Diversity people in there. Or if not, you can definitely call your regional partner organization, WBDC being your RPO. You can also use WBENC Link to search other WBEs. So right above the corporation tab on the left-hand side, you should see WBE. If you click there, you have a similar search engine. And let's say you're looking for another WBE to team for a contract, or you just want to know who else is out there in your particular industry. This is what you can. This is where you would go to find those those peer WBEs and prospective corporations. So I mentioned supplier diversity. So supplier diversity, unlike the government where it's mandated to use diverse suppliers, meaning women, minority, or veteran-owned businesses, the corporate side isn't necessarily regulated or mandated. However, it's a culture, and it's a growing culture. And it's being represented in most small, medium to large corporations. And most have a team. The teams are small, maybe one or few. Those supplier diversity folks are probably not the ones that's making the decisions, but they are the liaisons in the company. They're the connections to the internal buyers, and they're also your advocates. So you want to make sure you make friends with them. The supplier diversity community is small, so the supplier diversity folks at NICOR definitely talks to the folks at ComEd, and Allstate and so forth. So you want to make sure you make a great impression with all, because if they can't particularly use you, maybe they can refer you to one of the other supplier diversity corporations. And you just want to make sure that you build a great brand within the supplier diversity community. You want to be sure you listen to them carefully, because again, they're the gatekeepers to the contract. Unlike the government, they aren't listing it publicly often. We don't necessarily know when they're coming due or when other contracts are ending. So the supplier diversity people are your gatekeepers to that information. So you want to listen to them. If they give you or provide direction or instructions to pursue opportunities to do business with them, take their instructions. Allow their instructions to supersede anything that I, WBDC, or anyone else suggests. And again, make them your friend. Make a friend or two in the supplier diversity. Most of their spend under $25,000 is pretty much done on through relationships. They know you. They can pick up the phone and say, Jamie Neely, she does XYZ. Let me give her a ring. I met her last week. Or it's just a relationship-driven aspect of supplier diversity that helps build those contract opportunities. So you definitely want to get to know them well. Most have supplier diversity portals for their registration. You want to make sure that you, in fact, identify if they do, and if they do have a registration portal, you want to register. Be prepared for some to be as simple as entering in your company information, what do you do, contact, and that's it. And others may be a little bit more detailed. We may request your DUNS number, your insurance information, and a little bit more thorough ask. You want to follow up with the supplier diversity folks, expressing your interest in doing business with them, possibly emailing a letter or writing a letter, and then following up with a call. The ultimate objective is to get in front of them, requesting a meeting to get in front of them to discuss your products and services. I discourage overselling your products or services by phone or through email. Your outreach is really just to express your value proposition to them. After you've done your research, you've identified these are a couple of upcoming projects they have. This is what you can do to, this is how you can supply with them on those projects, and then you want to schedule a meeting. And then after that, you can better explain how your value proposition can save them money, expedite their process, and so forth. Make sure you articulate your value proposition. What is your value add to that company? That's pretty much what they want to know. What do for them. And when you're looking for those supplier diversity departments or even the registration portal, I suggest just Googling the corporation and then supplier diversity. Sometimes if you just go, and we have Allstate as an example, we go directly to the corporation's website and we hardly ever find the supplier diversity area. So just Google it. It's typically the first or second search, excuse me, search return. So in this case, Allstate Supplier Diversity, you see the first option popped up, and it will take you directly to their registration or their Supplier Diversity website, oftentimes leading you to the registration portal. And this is, for instance, what it will look like if you arrived at Allstate's registration portal. What's your value add? What's your value proposition? You always want to approach these corporations with a solution. What problem are you solving? Whether you're 100% sure of this problem, or you're just kind of through your research or through your industry knowledge, you know that this problem may exist, and you're coming to them with a solution. The solution is not only what your product or service can do for them, but also how it can benefit. Because what you do is probably something similar to another business. So what are you doing exactly for them, and how are you doing it differently? You want to be on top of the trends in your industry. If you're in technology is moving, it's robust. You have to keep up with it. You have to know how it's affecting these large corporations. How do you get in front of these issues or these problems to better provide a solution for them? You want to stress your strengths. What are your core competencies? Again, what are you doing different? And you want to be able to market that value proposition statement, and we'll get to that momentarily. So capability statement and value proposition statement, the terms are used synonymous. However, value proposition is mostly recognized in the corporate space. Capability statement recognized in the government space. Nonetheless, it is a one-pager. It's a resume for your business, essentially. Similar to a resume, certain components of it that must be included. However, it can be as pretty or plain as you like it to be. This is a template of a capability statement / value proposition statement. Again, you want to inform them of your core competencies. What do you do? What's the process? What does it look like? In brief. What are your past performances? Who else have you done business with? Have you done business with any other large corporations or small business, local stores, local businesses? If you're a new business or emerging business, maybe you want to refer to your previous work history. Maybe you've been in this industry for the last 25 years working for a small, medium, or large corporation, and now you've decided to branch off and run your own operations. So you want to allude to that experience as well, because that experience or those experiences may have afforded you the opportunity to run this business. What are your differentiators? What are you doing differently? Are you serving a different market? Is your processes different? Are your cost? What are you doing different? And you want to make sure you articulate that, because again, it comes to the question of, hey, there are other businesses like yours. What's setting your business aside and getting it through the door with these corporations? Your company data, your DUNS number, if you have any certifications, your WBENC certification will be listed here. Any other industry certifications, if you're in HR, your HR, even if you personally as the owner don't carry the certifications, if your staff carry industry certification, it will still be advantageous to be included here. Just gives the credibility or the confidence that you all are certified, meaning you know what you're doing, you're up to date with the knowledge of your industry. So you want to make sure you keep, if you don't have one, develop one, and this is something that we can do here at the WBDC together. But you want to use this as your one-pager. Oftentimes we meet people, we leave behind our business card, and it doesn't necessarily or hardly ever tell exactly what we do, right? So this capability or value proposition statement allows a little further explanation of how these corporations can use us. So it's a great leave behind to market your company. You want to market this certification. So even if you've been certified for quite some time or you're recently certified, you always want to refresh or remind your existing clients and prospective clients of this certification. You can do this by making an announcement via email, just a public communication, or putting it on your website as a, if you're recently certification, hey, we've been certified. It's a big deal. And those folks, your shareholders, should know and be excited with you. You want to include it in your brand. I see most WBEs included on their website. They'll include it on their value proposition statement, their business cards. Again, that WBENC certification is a marketing tool for you. So you want to include it on your marketing and promotional materials. You want to prospect in the WBENC community, because then, again, they'll know you're part of the WBENC network. Participating with your regional partner organization. Again, that's WBDC Chicago, as well as the 9 states that we certify in. And you want to do your homework on those corporations to make sure that they have a supplier diversity area and how your certification can be aligned with their diverse spend. Here's an example of a press letter, pretty much just announcing this new certification for a business owner. Again, it doesn't have to be as formal as a press release, but communication is great. Again, to your existing clients as well as prospective clients, because oftentimes women business enterprises are approached through their existing clients, and they're asked, hey, have you been certified? And if they haven't, they strongly encourage them to go out and get certified. So this letter will really grant them the opportunity to understand that you're certified and how they can better leverage doing business with you. So in that part of the presentation, we've covered contracting strategies, understanding or developing a top 5, top 10 list of businesses or corporations you like to do business with, learning their supplier diversity, who their supplier diversity is or are, how they supply with you, how do they, what is their procurement process, what's your value proposition to them, what is your value add to each of those corporations, and of course marketing your certification. And so while your WBENC certification is closely aligned to corporations, it also has a room or place in government certification and contracting. So should you ever be interested or doing business with a government agency, or maybe you hadn't thought of it, this portion is kind of talking about how you can leverage your WBENC certification to also get into the government space. So why certify with the government agency? Of course, similar reasons. You want to take advantage of the benefits to provide services to these government agencies. Most government agencies are required by law to have diversity spend, so they have to spend with women, minority, or veteran-owned businesses, and they have to report out, and the information that they're reporting is very much transparent. We can find out who they've provided or given contracts to in the past, so we can look up previously awarded history, as well as upcoming contracts. This becomes beneficial because should you not be ready today, this can help you better prepare how to become ready. In the corporate space, this information isn't always readily available for us, so the research is a little bit more challenging, and the relationship building becomes a little bit more prominent in the corporate space because that information isn't transparent. Excuse me. Many contracts are set aside for groups, so there will be WBE set-asides, meaning only WBE firms can bid or respond to a particular contract opportunity. Prime contractors required to meet government spend. So let's say if a prime contractor has won a contract, but they are not a woman-owned business or WBE or veteran-owned business, minority-owned business, that prime contract has the opportunity to subcontract, which could be very well beneficial to you as being a WBE, where it introduces you to government contracting and get your feet wet without carrying the burden of being the prime contractor. These are the ABCs of certifications in the government space. The state of Illinois, each agency pretty much has its own designated certification. The state of Illinois has its FBE, which is now BEP, Business Enterprise Program, where the WBE's minority business enterprises are all swept under that certification. If you're looking to do business with any of the transportation agencies, the DBE certification, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, would be sufficient, and it gives the cost, which is no charge for that one. HubZone is a federal certification. HubZone is determined by HubZone zip codes, and you can become certified through HubZone two ways. If you employ over 33% of your employees that resides in a HubZone, any HubZone, that's indicated on the HubZone website, or if your headquarters are located in a HubZone zip code. MBE, Minority Business Enterprise, is issued through the City of Chicago, also through the Cook County, and also through the National Minority Supplier Diversity Council, which is again the equivalent to WBDC for MBEs. The 8A is a federal certification, but also it's a program. You're part of the program for 9 years. It gives developmental resources to help and assist obtaining those federal contracts. Again, they have set-asides for 8A certifications, meaning if you're not 8A, you can't bid on those opportunities. Excuse me. WBE, again, you can be certified through the city, through the county, and through WBENC. The city and the county are reciprocal, so if you become certified through the city with a WBE, you can still do business with Cook County. And they will, if you're WBENC certified, since you're WBENC certified and decide to become city or county WBE certified, they'll acknowledge your WBENC certification and expedite the application process. And the federal level for small business certification. Upon your WBE, your WBENC certification, you have the opportunity to opt into the WOSB certification. Excuse me. This will allow you to then pursue WOSB set-aside opportunities under the federal government. And of course, certification for veteran enterprises directly with the Veteran Affairs. So this is just the ABCs of government certification. It can become a little bit confusing and sometimes overwhelming. So the idea of the contracting strategy is really identifying who buys and what you sell. This is really important in the government space because if the city isn't necessarily buying in your space, you may want to consider the county or the state and vice versa. And that's where you want to align your certification with who's buying in your space, right? In some instances, it costs money for the certification. If you're certified through WBENC, we all know it takes time and documentation preparation, so we want to make sure we're using our time, energy, and dollars in the most appropriate areas. Your WOSB certification. Again, this is the federal certification for women-owned businesses. WBENC is an approved third-party certifying agency, and you must be certified with the WBDC in order to opt into your WOSB certification through us. We talked a little bit about, if you have a current WB certification, what that means in terms of being recognized and expedited in the government space. Again, this is with the City of Chicago as well as Cook County that will expedite your certification application with them. A few upcoming events through your regional partner. Of course, they've indicated a few times that leveraging your regional partner organization and the network and the connections and the programming becomes particularly important with getting in front of these corporations and government agencies so that you can not only learn them, but they can learn who you are. So next we have another leveraging your certification here live at the WBDC Chicago Center. And then, excitingly, we have in October on the 25th, procurement meeting with NICOR. If most of you have attended our WBD Connect on yesterday, we had an amazing matchmaking event with corporations and government agencies. And so WBDC is really tasked or really focused on connecting you all once you become certified with these suppliers for those opportunities. So you will have the opportunity to intimately discuss with NICOR what their procurement processes are, who you should be contacting, how do you know upcoming opportunities are becoming available. And also with NICOR, they particularly become interesting because they are a corporation. However, they're a utility company and they have to report up to the government. So diverse spend is extremely important in their community. Are you ready for a government contract? This workshop is going to be held here at the center on Thursday, November 3rd at 11 a.m. And then lastly, as a continuation to that WBD Connect event that I mentioned that occurred on yesterday, we're having the WBD Celebrate event, where it's mostly a toast and acknowledgement of our hardworking WBEs in a celebratory way. On Tuesday, November 15th, it's going to be held at the Wintrust Grand Banking Hall here in the downtown Loop area in Chicago. So you want to make sure you stay in tune with your regional partner organization and things that we have coming. More recently, the University of Chicago's Executive Business Program alumni gathered together to do a study for us. And they researched our WBEs, our established firms, to find out what are the needs or what are the needs at your state. And so the response was, you all are wanting to become more connected with corporations and government agencies, and you all are seeking more elevated topics for workshops and seminars, such as business valuation, which we had a great workshop earlier this year with Dignitas, mergers and acquisition, which we plan to have over the next couple of months, and succession planning, right? So even if you're not ready to close the doors tomorrow or hand the business over, these are some things that you still want to think about so that you can begin to implement strategies to better prepare you for when that time comes. So you want to keep these things in mind. In addition to WBDC established business services, offers also include one-on-one and group business counseling. The more the clients or the people here at WBDC know about your business, the more they can supply you with the resources you need to grow or scale. Certification, most of you are already certified, and if not, this is something that we can discuss. We talked about the elevated workshops and seminars, and again, those corporate partner supply diversity and government procurement opportunities, those are major, and we look forward to hosting and providing those more in the future for you. And if you have any question, I'd love to answer them. If you can just use that drop box in the question area, and I can gather those questions on this side. I have one question. Will this presentation be shared? Yes, I will send this after the presentation to make sure you all have it. What is an 8A certification? The 8A certification is a federal government certification. It's also a program that you enter into 9 years where they supply resources or pad you with strategy to get federal or to obtain federal government contracting. 8A is also great because they have a lot of set-asides for the government. So again, set-aside meaning this bid is set aside only for 8A certified companies. Again, which is great because it narrows your pool of competition. You're not competing, it's not full and open where you're competing against every non-minority, non-woman, non-8A. It's only 8A. Just as well as if it was a WOSB set aside. Again, those certifications, or these certifications, narrow your pool of competition, and we can dive deeper in a separate conversation for what's needed or what's looked at within the 8A certification. I hope that answers your question. Another question is, one second. Because the corporate information isn't transparent, how do I know what upcoming opportunities are available? This is a great question, and again, that information isn't transparent. It's hard for us here at WBDC to gather the information. Even with the WBD Connect yesterday, when we were asking corporations for their upcoming procurement activities, it isn't always readily available, and so that's why being connected with those supplier diversity staff or teams are important. They're the gatekeepers. They have the answers. They have the relationships with the internal buyers or end users who ultimately are making the decision. So I encourage you to be productively persistent with them, to always have a seat at the table. Again, it's one thing for you to know who they are, but it's great when they know who you are and they know what you can do and how you perform, so that they can refer those opportunities to you as well. Excuse me. Are there any more questions? How often do you have the procurement meetings? Another good question. So we're wanting to have them more often. For this fiscal year, we had 4 scheduled with 2 corporate partner panels. So we had a procurement meeting, and how they're identified are the procurement meetings are more intimate. It's just one corporation being represented with a more intimate discussion about how you do business with them specifically. We also have corporate partner panels where we may have multiple corporations or government agencies represented. Similar conversation of learning how to do business with them, but you're learning about several at one time. So earlier this year we had a procurement meeting with the Federal Home Loan Bank of Chicago. We had a corporate partner panel with the McCormick Place, with Edelman, and the Federal Home Loan Bank of Chicago also featured with one of our successful WBEs, Jill Kerrigan from JK Graphic Design. So stay in tune. October 25th is the next one. I think we have one scheduled in January with Navistar. One more question and I think we'll wrap up. So would the supplier diversity person send out an update when the corporation is looking for a vendor? Not necessarily. A few things may happen. Each corporation operates differently, so learning how they operate is very important. So let's take this question and give a couple of examples. One corporation for sure I know, they use LinkedIn, and they actually put out upcoming opportunities on their LinkedIn. That company is Federal Home Loan Bank of Chicago. So they'll put upcoming opportunities on their LinkedIn page. Others, they'll go directly to their vendor registration portal and sift out, and they'll call on you directly to say, hey, we have this upcoming opportunity. Are you interested to bid? Another option is they'll call WBDC and ask us, hey, do you all have any WBEs that provide furniture or has janitorial services or have do cybersecurity? Whatever the ask is, they'll come directly to us. Oftentimes, you know, it's the clients that we know of, or we go directly to the WBENC Link to find you. So various formats or various ways that corporations communicate their ask. So again, it becomes important for you to know and understand that through the Supplier Diversity representatives. Are there any more questions? So you have a few minutes back into your day, and if there are not any more questions, thank you for joining today's Leveraging Your Certification. If you want more direct corporate contracting strategy for your business and your business opportunities, please feel free to contact me directly. Email is always great, or to make an appointment, you can call the front desk and they will definitely get you scheduled and set up. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you at our procurement meeting with NICOR and or our WBDC Celebrate. Thanks, and enjoy the rest of your day.